The sun rose over the Valley of Mexico, casting an eerie golden light that danced upon the jagged temples, piercing the sky like stone spears aimed at the heavens. The bustling city stirred to life beneath the watchful gaze of the towering pyramid of the great temple. Templo Mayor, its blood-stained steps silent witnesses to centuries of ritual and reverence. Today was not an ordinary day. It was the day of the great sacrifice on event, both feared and revered, a brutal spectacle woven into the very fabric of Aztec life. To be chosen, to be offered to the gods, was both an honor and a sentence. Yet, the fate awaiting the chosen few was one no soul could escape, no matter how fiercely they clung to life. You arrive as a captive, torn from your home, your family, your past a stranger draped in the jagged cloak of terror. Your heart pounds as you are herded through the throng of spectators, their eyes shining with a strange mix of awe and detachment. Some whisper prayers, others shout blessings, but none meet your gaze with mercy. The scent of copal, incense and burning flesh permeates the air, mingling with the metallic temps of blood spilled in ceremonies past. Each step brings you closer to the altar, where the priest awaits draped in feathers and painted with the vibrant reds and blacks of the divine, a living embodiment of the god's will. The priest's face is carved in serene resolve, masking the cold efficiency beneath, as if the years of sacrifice have hollowed the man to little more than an instrument of death. The crowd is silent now, breaths held collectively as the sun reaches its zenith, casting its unyielding gaze upon the stone altar. You are forced to ascend the steep steps, each one a cruel reminder of the distance between the mortal realm and the divine. The height steals your breath, the noise of the crowd fading into a distant murmur, replaced by the pounding of your own pulse. Above, the priest raises his obsidian blade, a jagged sliver of night carved from volcanic glass gleaming like a shard of darkness, hungry for life. The ritual unfolds with hypnotic precision. A jagged incision opens across your chest, the cold bite of the blade shocking your skin into awareness as warm blood spills onto the altar. The priest's hands are steady, almost gentle, as he lifts your still-beating heart from its cage of ribs, a sacrificial offering pulsating with the very essence of life. The crowd erupts in a mixture of lament and celebration, their voices rising in a chaotic symphony that echoes through the valley. The heart is passed to the heavens, held aloft as a plea for favor from the sun god Huitzilopochtli, whose hunger is insatiable, demanding the blood of the living to sustain his journey across the sky. But this is only the beginning. The first hour is a cruel descent into a nightmare where flesh and spirit are consumed in equal measure. The ceremony does not merely end with the heart's offering. It is an immersion into a world where the boundaries between the divine and the mortal blur, where screams and prayers are woven into a tapestry of devotion and despair. You are dragged from the altar, your body a sacrament, smeared with the evidence of your death, to be carried down to the temple's base, where your fate will be sealed amidst the throng of the living and the dead. Below, the temple grounds are a frenzy of activity. Dancers adorned with eagle feathers and jaguar skins perform frenzied rituals, their movements a sacred mimicry of war and death. The scent of copal intensifies, smoke curling into the sky, a visible bridge between the earthly and the divine. Drums pound in a primal rhythm, synchronized with the beating of your own heartless form as it is paraded before the masses, a stark reminder of the price paid for cosmic balance. Every moment is imbued with a haunting duality, life and death, reverence and terror, humanity and sacrifice. The priests move among the crowd, their faces obscured by masks carved from wood and obsidian, enacting rites of purification and protection, ensuring that the sacred cycle remains unbroken. They chant incantations older than memory, their voices a low drone that seeps into the bones, a summons to the gods and a warning to the living. You become a symbol, corporeal bridge between worlds, a vessel through which the gods speak in blood and flame. Your sacrifice is not an end, but a necessary transformation, a grim thread woven into the vast tapestry of Aztec cosmology, where the sun's survival hinges upon mortal suffering. To survive even the first hour of this ceremony is impossible. The brutality, the solemnity, the overwhelming presence of death woven into celebration is a world where only the gods transcend, and all others are destined to be consumed. As the sun arcs higher, the ceremony intensifies. The crowd grows silent once more as the priests prepare for the next phase, an unyielding descent into the depths of ritualized carnage and divine communion. The air thickens, heavy with anticipation and the lingering smoke of sacrifice, a suffocating reminder that in this ancient city, life is measured in moments, stolen by death, and survival is the greatest illusion of all. The relentless sun beat down mercilessly as the ceremony plunged deeper into its grim rhythm, the air heavy with a blend of incense and the iron scent of spilled blood. The initial act, the removal of the heart, was merely a prologue to a far darker symphony that awaited. The priestly caste, cloaked in power and solemnity, moved with a precision that bordered on the divine, their ritualistic actions weaving a tapestry of life, death, and cosmic balance that few could comprehend, and fewer still could survive. You are no longer just a captive, you have become a vessel, a sacrifice whose body is about to be desecrated and transformed into a sacred offering to the gods who demand endless tribute. The crowd watches with rapt attention, some with faces painted in mourning, others exultant, but all share a knowledge that this hour is the most sacred and terrible of all. The body, still warm and trembling with the residue of life, is taken by a group of acolytes who carry you toward the temple's shadowed chambers. Here, the true horror of the ceremony unfolds. The walls are lined with altars and stone slabs slick with the blood of countless sacrifices, each scar etched into the cold stone, a testament to the unyielding will of the gods and the merciless demands placed upon mortal flesh. You are laid upon a stone slab, the cold surface biting into your skin, while the priests gather their instruments, knives fashioned from obsidian, blades as sharp and unforgiving as the gods' judgment. One priest, a man with eyes like burning coals and a face painted in the fierce patterns of the jaguar warrior, approaches with deliberate calm. His hands are steady as he begins the next phase, the flaying of your skin, a ritual that strips away not only flesh, but the very identity that tethered you to your past life. As the blade cuts, searing pain radiates through your body, a firestorm of agony that threatens to consume all thought and memory. The crowd outside the chamber remains silent, as if the very air itself holds its breath in reverence for the unfolding sacrament. This act of flaying is not mere cruelty. It is a passage, a symbolic shedding of the mortal coil, transforming you into an offering worthy of the gods' attention. The peeled skin, a vivid tapestry of raw flesh and pain, is fashioned into garments worn by the priests and warriors, believed to carry the power and essence of the sacrificed. It is said that wearing the skin of the sacrificial victim endows the wearer with divine strength and protection, a dark gift born from suffering. But your torment does not end there. From the depths of the temple, another priest emerges, bearing a large obsidian blade, jagged and cruel, its edge catching the flickering torchlight like a shard of darkness. With grim determination, he begins the ritual of dismemberment, a brutal procession of slicing and tearing, each cut a deliberate offering, each piece of flesh a sacrifice to the gods of rain, war, and the sun. Your screams echo through the chambers, mingling with the chants of the priests and the distant murmur of the crowd, creating a haunting chorus that reverberates through the heart of the pain is relentless, but it is also sacred, a violent hymn sung to appease the gods who have commanded this blood debt. Outside, the people watch in awe and fear, knowing that the ceremony is not merely a spectacle, but a vital act to ensure the continuation of the world itself. The Aztecs believed that the gods required this sacrifice to sustain the sun's journey across the sky, to bring rains to their crops, and to maintain the balance between chaos and order. As the dismemberment continues, you are transformed from a living being into a collection of sacred offerings, each limb, each organ destined for a specific ritual purpose. Some parts will be burned in the sacred fires atop the temple, their smoke carrying prayers to the heavens. Others will be placed in sacred urns or given to priests to consume in symbolic communion with the divine. The final moments of this hour blur the lines between agony and transcendence. Your consciousness wavers between the torment of flesh and the numbing embrace of death. Caught in a liminal space where mortal suffering meets eternal sacrifice, the god's presence is palpable, a suffocating weight pressing upon the soul, demanding the ultimate price. And yet, even in this abyss, there is a strange beauty, an ancient, terrifying grace in the ritual's relentless perfection. The priests move like shadows, their actions precise and reverent, their voices rising in chants that weave a spell of cosmic significance. The ceremony is not simply a death, it is a sacred act of renewal, a dark promise that from your suffering, life will spring anew for the people if but you, the victim, are lost consumed by the cruel inevitability of the gods' hunger. The first hour has claimed you utterly, body and soul, leaving behind only the echo of your sacrifice in the hearts of those who witness, and the blood-soaked stones of the temple that will remember forever. As the brutal rites of the first hour fade into a harrowing memory, the ceremony's grim crescendo swells beyond mortal comprehension. The sky, once a brilliant canvas of sunlight, now darkens under the shadow of sacred ritual. As the priests prepare to enact the most unfathomable phases of the sacrifice, the gods demand not merely death, but an eternal reckoning, binding of flesh to spirit, pain to divine will, and human mortality to cosmic necessity. The remains of your body, mutilated and sacred, are carried to the temple's outer sanctum, where an altar stained with the blood of generations awaits. Here, the priests cloaked in jaguar pelts and adorned with feathers from the quetzal bird, symbols of death and rebirth, begin the procession of the sacred offering. Their faces are masks of solemn duty, concealing the tumultuous blend of reverence, fear, and fanaticism that propels their hands and hearts. You, once flesh and breath, are now reduced to fragments imbued with a power both feared and revered. Your heart, extracted while still beating, was offered to Huitzilopochtli, the sun god and deity of war, whose endless hunger drives the Aztec cosmos. But the ceremony extends far beyond this singular act, demanding a visceral communion between the earthly and the divine. The crowd surrounding the temple remains silent, an ocean of faces marked by the flickering torchlighters, reflecting a mixture of awe and dread. Among them, the noble class watches with cold calculation, knowing that their own survival depends upon the favor of these gods, and thus the sacrifice of others like you. Now begins the ritual of consumption, a grotesque communion where the boundary between sacrifice and sustenance blurs. Selected priests and warriors, chosen for their valor and proximity to the divine, partake in a grim feast. Portions of your flesh, once vibrant and warm, are prepared and served in sacred vessels, believed to contain the essence of your spirit. Eating this flesh is an act of both reverence and empowerment, a means to internalize the sacrifice and channel its potency. But this act is more than ritual. It is a chilling manifestation of power and control. Through this cannibalistic rite, the priests and warriors assert dominion over life and death, transforming the victim's destruction into their own exaltation. The feast becomes a theater of domination, where the gods' demands intertwine with human ambition, and the cycle of sacrifice perpetuates itself in a brutal dance. Meanwhile, the surviving captives, if any remain, are forced to witness this macabre spectacle, an eternal reminder of their own inevitable fate. Their cries echo faintly beneath the chants, a haunting chorus of despair that rises and falls with the cadence of ancient drums. The temple, once a monument to grandeur and power, becomes a stage for this dark ritual, a place where flesh and spirit are severed and merged in an eternal pact. Each stone, slick with centuries of blood, seems to pulse with the memories of countless sacrifices, silent witnesses to humanity's darkest desperation. And yet, amidst this unspeakable horror, the Aztecs believed deeply in the sanctity of their acts. They were convinced that without these sacrifices, the world would plunge into chaos, the sun would refuse to rise, and death would swallow all existence. Your agony, your final moments, were threads woven into the fabric of cosmic order, a grim testament to the price of survival in this ancient civilization. As the ceremony draws towards its conclusion, the priests perform the final rites, chanting prayers that echo through the night, invoking the gods to accept the offering and grant favor upon the people. The blood-soaked altar stands as a stark reminder of the sacrifice's cost, a testament to the thin line between life and death that the Aztecs walked daily. For you, the victim, there is no salvation, only the cold embrace of oblivion, and the eternal echo of a sacrifice that shaped a civilization's destiny. The first hour was but the beginning. The legacy of your torment will be etched into history, whispered through the ages as a reminder that some rituals are too dark, too raw for any mortal to endure. The final moments of this unfathomable rite unfold like the closing pages of a nightmare bound in blood and ancient belief. The temple, a citadel of sacred dread, now hums with the residual energy of the sacrifices, made echoes of flesh rent from bone, hearts torn beneath. The relentless sun and the silent screams that no longer echo but linger in the air like a curse. As the last flames gutter and smoke rises from the altar, A terrible peace descends on, uneasy truce between mortality and divinity, between death and the fragile continuation of life. The priests, their faces stained with the red rivers of offering, begin the solemn task of cleansing, not only of bodies but of souls. They chant incantations meant to purify and release the spirits, sending them forth to join the celestial tapestry as honored ancestors. Yet, beneath the layers of ceremony lies a raw truth. This cleansing is a shroud over the madness of a world driven by desperation, by a cosmic fear that without sacrifice, chaos would consume all. The surviving witnesses, the nobility, the warriors, the captives are bound to the memory of this night, forever marked by the darkness they observed. The captives, spared only to bear witness, carry with them the seed of terror, a living reminder of the fragile thread upon which life clings in the Aztec world. They know that they too may one day be offered upon the altar, their lives a currency to pay for the sun's daily rebirth. Among the crowd, a young warrior's eyes gleam with a mixture of reverence and dread, the weight of destiny pressing upon his shoulders. He contemplates the blood-stained path ahead. How many more must fall before the gods smile? How many hearts must beat no more before the sun rises again? In his mind, the brutal calculus of survival is etched. The price of power is the sacrifice of the weak, a bitter truth buried beneath the chants and drums. The temple itself seems to breathe with the spirits of the countless souls entwined in this eternal ritual. Stones slick with blood hold secrets darker than the night, whispering tales of pain and faith, of cruelty and devotion. It is a place where the veil between worlds thins, and the sacrifices made are not mere deaths, but eternal bonds, contracts written in agony and inked in blood. As dawn breaks over the distant horizon, the city awakens, untouched by the horrors that unfolded within the temple's walls. Life resumes its rhythm, the market's bustling calls, the children's laughter, the relentless march of time. Yet, beneath this veneer of normalcy, the memory of the sacrifice festers a dark heartbeat in the city's chest, a reminder that the world they know depends on this ancient, savage covenant. In the centuries that followed, the echoes of these ceremonies would fade into myth and legend, distorted by the sands of time and the voices of conquerors. But the brutal truth remains a testament to a civilization's unyielding will to survive, to the terrifying lengths humanity will go to hold back oblivion. The Aztec Sacrifice Ceremony, with its ruthless demands and sacred horror, stands as a grim monument to that desperate, blood-soaked struggle. For those who dare to look beyond the veil of history, to peer into the abyss of human faith and fear, this ceremony is a stark reminder. You would not survive the first hour. The pain, the terror, the unrelenting grip of death all are beyond the endurance of any modern soul. And yet, it was here, in this brutal theater of flesh and spirit, that a people forged their destiny under the watchful eyes of gods who demanded nothing less than absolute devotion, sealed forever with blood.